And I have to say, something very special is occurring this Christmas on the BBC. It is, of course, the reason we're all gathered here. And yes, come on, admit it, you want to know about the fishing trip? And we're all longing, aren't we, to find out what's happened since we left Nessa down on one knee in Barry. It's been 5 long years since she declared her love for Smithy and asked him to marry her. And that wonderful 2019 Christmas special was watched by record audiences of over 18 million. I think it demonstrated the power of British comedy, but more than anything, I think it showed the sheer love, the sheer adoration for Gavin and Stacey. The hit sitcom, created, written and starring the extraordinary Ruth Jones and James Cordon, first launched on BBC Three all those years ago, back in 2007, and it's gone on to become one of the biggest comedies of all time. Through BBC iPlayer, we brought a whole new generation of fans to the show. They've been devouring the back catalogue as it continues to be rewatched over and over again, ready, of course, for this eagerly awaited final ever episode. I have to say, it's a show that everybody at the BBC is incredibly proud of. It's exquisitely written. It's a show about family, it's about love, it's about joy. And Ruth and James's terrific comedy creation is a total and utter gem. I think it's a showcase for the very best of British storytelling. So it's incredibly, it's incredibly exciting to be welcoming back such a wonderful cast of characters that I think we've literally grown up with on Christmas Day for one last time. It was one of the most exciting moments, I think, of my whole career, to get a call from James one evening back in 2018. I was literally in my bedroom, was about to go to bed, and the phone goes. And he goes, Charlotte? And I'm like, yeah? Would you be interested in reading a new Gavin and Stacey script that me and Ruth have just written? And would I be interested? I don't think I said anything, I just gasped. And when the text came out of the blue a year ago, very kind of humble James text going, would it be possible if confidentially you could come solo to the Soho Hotel to meet with Ruth Jones and I? We just got something we want to talk to you about. Well, obviously I didn't want to presume, but I literally had butterflies. I went, yeah, sure, when? So look, first and foremost, I do want to say a massive thank you to Ruth and to James. They've created something truly magical that fans will treasure forever, and we at the BBC will treasure forever too. It's been a privilege to have the show on the BBC. We never take that for granted, and we simply love working with them both. But I want to say a thank you to everybody involved in this incredible show, to all the incredible cast, many of whom have joined us today, sitting in the 5th row. Thank you so much. Too many to mention, but over the past 17 years, you really are what makes the show so special. Your loyalty, your dedication is really unmatched. And I want to say a special thanks as well to Christine Gurn. Christine, again, thank you. It is exquisitely written, but exquisitely directed as well. So thank you so much, Christine. You are a massive part of this show as well. And also to producer Sarah Fraser. Sarah, where are you? Thank you so much. It's a dream team, and you've all come back together to make this show happen. And I want to say all the thanks that I can to every part of the crew, because again, I know it is bringing the gang back together like we never have before. So a big thank you to all the crew. Yay. Thank you. I want to say thank you to Ben Winston, to Leo Perlman, and to all the team at Fulwell 73. Thank you, Fulwell. I think you're over there. Big thank you for everything you've done. To Reece John, to David P, and to everybody at Tidy Productions as well. Because it is tidy, Reece, it is. And to Emma Lawson and to John Petrie at the BBC as well. Emma and John, thank you so much. They are the holders of BBC comedy, and this for them, it was a dream come true, wasn't it, when we said it's coming back. But Ruth and James really have reunited the cast for an unmissable TV event of the year. I know it's going to bring people together like never before this Christmas, in a way that I think only the BBC can. And when the finale leaves you wanting more, yes, you can re-watch it all over again. But don't worry, there's also a very special documentary, which again will bring tears to your eyes, which tells the story of Britain's best-loved sitcom as it comes to an end after 17 years on the BBC. And that's on New Year's Day, so they couldn't be better placed, I think, in our schedules. So thank you, everyone. You are going to enjoy this afternoon. This is the perfect Christmas treat. I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Boyd Hilton, who's going to take over proceedings. Over to you, Boyd.
Thanks, Charlotte. Well, this is TV. If TV launches don't come much bigger than this, I'm absolutely thrilled to be hosting 2 Q&As, one in a minute, another one at the end of the show, with the main core cast. Before we begin, I'd like to remind all the journalists in the room of the embargoes that you were given on arrival today. Please do stick to these, and if you have any questions, ask the BBC press team. But basically, everything that you see before we watch the episode in a minute is embargoed until 8 PM on the 19th, which is tomorrow. And then everything from the start of the episode onwards, including the Q&A at the end with the wider cast, is embargoed until after the episode is aired on Christmas Day at about 10:35. Before we watch the episode, Diane, just gird your loins. It's extraordinary. I'd love to welcome to the stage co-writers and creators Ruth Jones and James Cordon. Thanks for coming, guys. Before we watch the final ever episode, we thought we'd kind of set it in place, kind of establish a little bit of the history. So when you first conceived of the idea of writing something together, like about 20 years ago now?
I think we were writing the show...
25. Wasn't it? 25? Well, it was when we were doing Fat Friends, it was 2000, maybe about 2002.
Yeah, it was...
Two-ish. Did we start
No, we were writing it, I think, in 2004.
Yeah, but
I think
we talked about it.
We talked about it, yes. I think what's important is it's undeniable that at this moment right now, we are the worst people to be talking about this show.
Perfect.
We couldn't feel... we feel particularly nervous, and we feel bad for anybody that got a bounty.
Hands up, who got a bounty?
Nothing to do with that. There will be a sort of BBC voucher process. Anyone who got a bounty can go and swap it for a Galaxy or a Malteser, but there is obviously limited supply. But other than that, yeah.
All good.
No, we feel great, Boyd. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So my really exciting question is, how different was the original conception to what what it became, what the show became, and what it is now?
I don't think we knew really what the show was when we wrote the very first episode.
Yeah.
We knew where we were going, like in terms of the narrative, that we were going to end episode 6 with a wedding. But I don't think we really knew who the characters were. We sort of got to know them as we went along, didn't we? And I think what has remained throughout all of the episodes is this sense of love, I'm going to cry now, love between friends, love between family members, conventional boy meets girl love stories, and unconventional relationships. So I think that's kind of remained the same, and the lack of cynicism has remained the same, that basically all the characters in the show really do love each other. Call it boring, but they do.
And you couldn't have imagined when you first started filming about 17 years ago in Leicester Square that it would go on this long and it would turn out to be this kind of historic. But did you want it to be like a long-running thing, a returning series, etc.?
Oh God, no. I mean, we've honestly never ever thought past what we've been commissioned to do or write. So, when we were writing the scripts for the first series, we didn't know if the show would get greenlit. Then it gets greenlit, then you shoot it, and then you're hoping that someone finds it. Then you get to do another series, and then suddenly as that one starts coming out, it feels like lots of people are watching it. And then we did the first Christmas special, which was, just a dream come true for us. Like an absolute dream come true to have a show that was considered worthy of a Christmas special. And that was enough for us, is the truth. And then we really felt like we'd probably told enough of the story, and we were finding it, I think if we're honest with ourselves, we were finding it hard to construct ways for the families to keep meeting up, because we knew that the show was at its most furtive when both families meet. And so I think when we ended the third series, we were definite that that was it. And I think perhaps, I don't know, today or in the last few months or weeks or whatever, people have spoken a lot about, why do we think that the show may have garnered the attention that it's got now? And the more I've thought about it, I sort of wonder if actually it's a lesson in patience. We're sort of told now, particularly in television or the way that we consume stuff, we talk about content and we talk about consumers and we talk about speed, and we've decided that speed is the single most important thing in everything that you can do. I ordered it then and it arrived then, and I watched it then, and you get young people now watching things at twice the speed that it was ever meant to be formatted at, and you're told like speed is important and that's important. And here's a show that ended 15 years ago, waited 10 years to tell another hour of the story, and waited 5 more years to end it. And actually, maybe the lesson for all of us, for people that write about television, for people that talk about television, for people that write television, is actually maybe time and patience and care might be the answer for things to have a longevity outside of what we consume on our phones.
Absolutely. Delayed gratification. Yeah, absolutely. And Ruth, finally, you did the 5 years ago, the episode that went out 5 years ago, ended on the greatest cliffhanger of all time, possibly. Did you think, when you wrote and filmed that, did you think, oh yeah, we have to follow up, we have to show what happened after this? Or did you, at any part of you think, actually, let's just leave it there?
Well, it took me a little while to get up off my knees. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think I could get down on one knee now. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I think we both had various points where we talked about doing it, and for one reason or another, Ruth may have said, I think we should do it now, and I was like, I don't know. And then I can remember a moment where I was like, I really think we should do this and write it, and Ruth was like, I just don't feel in the right headspace, or it's not right that timeline
And
that
then
we try and work
time,
out.
Didn't we? That we both kind of
We
came
decided to
together
speak
with it.
last summer, and we said, look, can we actually, because we talk all the time as friends, it's quite difficult when you work all the time with your best friend, so because a lot of the time you're just talking about life stuff. And then I said, look, let's just lock in a time. It was last summer, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
I said 4:00 Tuesday, let's do like a FaceTime.
Good time for a FaceTime for all.
Correct?
Yeah.
And we both were in exactly the same place, and we were like, well,
We both had the same idea, didn't we?
yeah, and we'd had a week in September. We were like, well, let's get together then. And if there's nothing there, if the characters don't show us what the story is, it doesn't matter. We haven't told anybody. We haven't told the cast. We haven't spoken to the BBC. And we didn't kind of, it's kind of lovely hearing Charlotte talk about those moments. We didn't contact Charlotte till we'd written, I think, 70 pages of this special. Because by then we felt like, we've got something that we feel that we're ready to share. Because it may sound like complete nonsense. It doesn't really feel like we're in charge of writing it. I feel like we just have to be together, and we sort of open a portal, and the characters arrive and they tell us what they want everybody to know.
Because I think what people may not realise is that I know that James and I co-write it, but our cast just inhabit those roles, and we've been so lucky to work with such an incredible cast who then, from doing the first series, that gives us even more creative ammunition, as it were, to go on and write the next series, because we've now got to know those characters as a result of the brilliant cast that we've had. So I think it's been very much a joint venture in more ways than one, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's not wait any longer.
Please,
Yeah,
God.
sorry, let's put you out of your misery. Let's watch the episode. Before they run the episode, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I want to say thank you to all of the crew, and for making it so special, this final foray to Fulwell, and to Tidy for helping everything move along. But mainly I want to say thank you to James for, I'm really sorry, I'm so pathetic. I want to say thank you to James for being my travel companion on this wonderful journey.
There's so many people in this room that have been part of this from minute one, and it feels like we've shared too many tears and hugs and goodbyes, but looking out like Dave and Kizzy and Steve and Soph and Chris and Liana and all these people that have been there from the first minute of making the show, and what a privilege to have an idea with someone for whom it is just a joy to sit with and write with, and I love you very much. I'm very proud of all of it. Thank you.